Let me say something that may hit a nerve, but I need you to hear it. Your standards do not scare the wrong man if your softness is still doing all the talking. You can say, I do not tolerate disrespect. You can say, I know my worth. I have boundaries. I am not available for inconsistency. But if every time those standards are tested, your softness rushes into explain, excuse, understand, wait, forgive, and make room, then the wrong man is not listening to your words. He is studying your override. He is watching what happens after you speak. And that is what tells him whether your standards are real or not. Because standards do not become real when you announce them. They become real when they cost someone access. And that is the part many people are not prepared for. They want to be women with standards, but they still feel guilty when those standards require firmness. They still feel bad when someone feels rejected. They still feel the urge to soften the consequences, explain the boundary, reduce the discomfort, or reopen the door too quickly. And the wrong man can feel that. He can feel when your standard is present but unsupported. He can feel when your boundary exists but your nervous system still wants to rescue the connection. He can feel when your mouth says no but your energy says, please don't leave. And that is where the mixed signals become dangerous, because mixed signals do not confuse the wrong man. They invite him to test. He hears the standards, but he sees the softness beneath it, still trying to be chosen. So he pushes a little, then a little more, then a little more. Not always dramatically, sometimes subtly. A delayed response or reply here, a broken promise there, a small act of disrespect wrapped in charm, a boundary crossed and then laughed off, an inconsistency followed by just enough affection to keep you emotionally invested. And he watches not just your words, your tolerance, your recovery time, how long it takes for you to go from that's not okay to maybe I'm overreacting. How quickly your standards collapse under the pressure of wanting to keep the connection alive. And if your softness keeps on doing what your standards were trying to protect, then what he learns is this. She has standards, but she doesn't know how to stand by them. That is when standards become decoration. Beautiful language with no real consequence behind it. And let me be clear, softness is not the problem. Your softness is beautiful. Your tenderness is beautiful. Your compassion is beautiful. Your desire to understand is amazing. But softness without self-protection becomes an access point for the wrong person. Because the wrong man does not hear your softness and think, let me honor this. He hears your softness and thinks, if I press long enough, she will bend. And that is how some women keep attracting men who test them. Not because they are foolish, but because their standards are not yet integrated. They are spoken, but not embodied. They are known intellectually, but not defended emotionally. And men can feel the difference. A woman with standards in her mouth can still be negotiated with. A woman whose standards live in her nervous system feels different. She does not just say what she will not tolerate. Her energy closes when it appears. Her access changes when it appears. Her availability changes when it appears. Her warmth is no longer available to what violated the standard. That is when standards become real. Not when you explain them beautifully. When your life begins to reflect them. Because wrong men are not intimidated by standards that still come wrapped in endless emotional accommodation. They are not intimidated by boundaries that are immediately followed by over-explaining. They are not intimidated by a woman who says, I deserve better, but still keeps making herself available to less. They are not intimidated by words. They are trained by pattern. And if the pattern says she will eventually soften, then your standards become part of the dance instead of the end of it. That is why some of you are exhausted, because you are speaking from conviction, but acting from fear. You know what you deserve. But when the moment comes to enforce it, your softness panics. Your fear of loss rises. Your desire to be understood rises. Your urge to give one more chance rises. And before you know it, you are back in the same cycle, wondering why your standards did not protect you. But standards do not protect you by existing. They protect you when they are enforced. They protect you when your body learns that love does not require self-betrayal. They protect you when your heart stops negotiating with what your spirit has already identified as unsafe. And this is where many women need healing. Not because they need higher standards. A lot of women already know the right words. They need deeper embodiment. They need their softness to stop working against their safety. They need to stop using compassion to keep harmful doors open. They need to stop confusing grace with access. They need to stop believing that being a loving woman means giving people room to keep proving that they are not good for you. Because every time your softness keeps rescuing someone from the consequence of violating your standard, you are teaching them that your standard is emotional language, not structural reality. And the wrong man will always test structural weakness. Always. So if you have been wondering why your standards don't seem to filter the wrong people out, ask yourself this honestly. When my standard is crossed, what speaks louder? My boundary or my fear of losing connection? Because that answer will tell you everything. And maybe that is the shift. Maybe the shift is not becoming harder. Maybe the shift is teaching your softness to stop betraying you. Teaching your compassion to stay aligned with truth. Teaching your warmth that it is allowed to close. Teaching your heart that someone being disappointed is not the same thing as you being wrong. Because a standard is not real simply because you speak it. It becomes real when your access changes in response to what violated it. That is what the wrong man needs to feel. Not your speech. Your withdrawal, not your explanation, your limit, not your potential, your decision. This is Redefine Your Narrative. And maybe the narrative you need to redefine is this: my softness is not proof that I should stay open to what hurts me. It deserves to be protected too.